Afternoon, beautiful people. Welcome to Shameless Reinvention, where we talk about the real work of changing your life.
And hey, I'm Sonia. She's Sharon, and we're your reconnectors. We're two women who got tired of living according to other people's playbooks.
So every week, we're going to be having conversations about career pivots, relationship boundaries, life transitions, and personal growth that actually matter. The ones that help you build a life about who you are becoming, not who you used to be.
And so part of being shameless is really reframing your negatives in your life. And so it's about your past and taking your past pivots, your past relationship boundaries and experiences that build you into who you are today. We believe that if you retrospectively rethinking, renewing, reconnecting, and restoring your story, that makes sense with all those re's.
I'm
So, are
ready
you
to,
ready to get shameless about your transformation? I guess
I'm
so.
ready to get
Already
shameless.
starting off. Already starting off. All right, girl, you ready?
I'm ready to get shameless. So if you're joining
Woo!
us on LinkedIn, drop a heart in the comments and let us know where you're listening from. We'd love to know.
And if this is your first time hearing about shameless reinvention, stick around. We're about to break it all down for you. So, Sharon, let's let the people know how it all started.
Well, we've been friends for a long time,
Mhm.
and we realized that every time we talk to each other, we like, whether for coffee or we're meeting at a business meeting across the country or just catching up, we wind up having these deep conversations. And, it's about, oh, it's laughter, it's
Yeah.
hilarious, it's real life conversations that leave us feeling inspired. And we feel like we're like helping each other. And so we thought, why not bring that energy and that life to more women and increase our circle?
Well, and that's exactly it. I mean, we've both been through real life stuff, losing jobs, reinventing careers, navigating marriage, dealing with family dynamics, and finding new joy in life. And so we knew that there were women out there just like us who needed to hear, hey, you are not alone. You are not done. There is still more life yet to be lived.
I mean, really, a lot of life to be lived, right?
A lot.
Because remember that conversations we had about how we used to think we had everything figured out at, and now that we're at a certain age, we realize, maybe we don't.
Right. It was like there was this invisible deadline that kind of, if you hadn't made it yet, that you were really behind. And so then you start looking at your friends or other people and you start comparing yourself to other people. And here's what you learn, like life doesn't work on your timeline or a timeline. Like there's sometimes detours that are exactly where the magic happens. Like that's when your real life can begin.
Well, we know what got some people say about when you make plans, right? So
That's
I think,
true.
we really just wanted to kind of get together to have these conversations, and we're glad that you're here with us.
So, Sharon, we were talking about like your reinvention moment or recognizing when did it happen for you? I mean, the why of this conversation. So, what's your why? Where does your why come from? Well, so some of it I'll jump in for you because you're like, girl.
Girl, I'm just literally thinking, what's my why? Like, yeah, go ahead.
Well, like your why could be from society, right? Like sometimes society has this idea that like once you reach a certain age or a certain milestone, especially as Black women, that we kind of fade into the background and they want you to like take a seat back. Even in your own family, sometimes they want you to be Auntie Sharon and Grandma
Yes,
Sharon and Church
exactly.
Lady Sharon and all of those kinds of things. But
Hmm.
without recognizing that this is a chance for your season to start again. This is your new time. You can reset, you can reinvent who you are.
Hmm. I know when we were younger, I guess we didn't realize how many choices we had.
True.
We started on one path and then we just kind of dealt with the changes that came along. But life happens, and sometimes we need to reroute that path to hope, opportunity, and what we're calling now is reinvention, right?
Right. That's true. And it's really like, they say about the glow up and so it's like the season in your life. It's really not about just glowing up. It's like not slowing up. You have to keep it real based on your experiences. Like we're creatives, we're wives, we're professionals, we're travelers and so part of what's
Exactly.
going to happen on this podcast is that we get to share that what joy looks like and what you can do if you're just pushing forward, moving forward in that season of joy. And so it's really not like about bouncing back. It's about bouncing forward. And there's
I
a
love that.
difference. Yeah, like bounce forward. We all know how to bounce back, but let's bounce forward. There's a difference between surviving and thriving. And
Right.
so we're going to be here to talk about the wisdom that it takes to thrive.
I love that. I mean, let's get to the heart of it, right?
Okay, I'm ready.
Like, what is shameless reinvention? Like, what are we really talking about here?
What can people expect, right?
Yes. Why? What can they expect here?
Well, so some weeks we're going to talk about career pivots and keeping your marriage spicy. I mean, you've been married for 20 plus years.
20 plus, let's say 31.
Okay, 31. So, girl, you got 31 years of how to keep it spicy, and you
Yes,
still smile
exactly.
when you talk about them.
I do. I do. I love it.
And even you love them to life too, right? So
That's exactly
dealing with
right.
health and wellness and in real ways, and we get to celebrate the joy of life and friendship and sisterhood. And then some
I
weeks
love
it's just
that.
going to be us just chatting like girlfriends do, and other weeks we'll bring in guests who inspire us, from entrepreneurs to wellness experts and to people and women who really reinvented themselves. Either way, you're going to walk away with laughs, a little wisdom, and some encouragement to start your own journey.
I love that. I can't wait to really delve into these conversations. We it's almost our little miniature reinvention room every time that we get together. And we just hope that you will continue to join us and join the conversation with our guests and with each other as we navigate all of these different career paths. So let's really want to talk about a couple things, like
Sure.
why we named it Shameless Reinvention. Let's what is shameless reinvention to you?
Well, girl, let me put on my glasses because, I was trying to be cute and keep it real and not have my glasses on. But let's be honest with this reinvention, that in this season of my life and at this stage of
Mhm.
reinvention, I've admitted that I have to reinvent with progressive glasses and lenses, and I can't even hear if I don't have
Is
my
that like
glasses.
1.75, 2.50? Like, did you get them at TJ
Hey,
Maxx?
I need the real deal. Zenny Optical has me on speed dial, so shameless plug to Zenny if you want to drop some advertising codes in here. I'm your biggest supplier, so.
Not mad at that. Not mad at that.
Oh, look, I stay in the 695 section. Okay, but seriously. So, what is shameless reinvention? I mean, shameless, you hear so many times, it's like, I don't know, sometimes people hear shameless and they think the negative, but for me and for you, I think, is it more about taking that negative and making it positive?
Mm, love that. I love that. I think for me, it is about taking that negative and making it positive. It's being without shame. so many changes, even in my life in the last 6 months. It's about growth and my growth, right? Your growth. It's about our choices, and about evolution. I think it's refusing to, not even think, I know it's about refusing to apologize for becoming who I was meant to be. We're talking about career pivots and us both being out of, an opportunity at the moment. But we
At
found
the
this
moment,
as at the moment, because we found this is our opportunity.
right.
So finding each other and deciding to, again, and chatting and just doing this, it's about growing too. It's about accepting that I can't be all things to all people. Remember, we talked a lot about earlier about choices and what that meant. Yeah, I had a lot of choices. When I was younger, I thought the world is open. But then I got to this age and felt like, wait a minute, I need to do this, I need to do that. But I still have to remember we have choices, right? And having these choices are going to help us be, and myself personally, I can only say, talk for myself and hopefully for you,
Talk for
who
yourself.
who we are meant to be.
And I love that. I think that's true. Who you're meant to be, and you are in charge of defining that for yourself. For me, it's been about owning that my shameless didn't come easy.
Mhm.
It came from recognizing my power and valuing my story and my experience and walking in it, but boldly. It took moments of understanding that it's disappointing, like who you used to be in order to become who you're meant to be. So I had
Oh,
to let go of old Sonia in order to be ready for new Sonia to come in.
and that's so cool. I feel like we should have like an episode called Who You Were Meant to Be. I remember
Yeah,
having my little vision board when I was in high school. I cut out all the pictures from the magazine, all these things that I
yeah.
wanted to do, which is intriguing that, hey, 30 years later, that's back. People are cutting things out of magazines or, little booklets and making vision boards, which is
True.
so inspiring. So
And
all
having
things
little
come back.
vision board parties and
Yes,
yeah.
yes. And it's inspiring though, because when you, especially if you do it at work with your colleagues, and then you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. We both have some of the same interests. It's almost like a team building thing, right? Which is pretty cool. But I know, we talked about Shameless, but now we want to talk about reinvention. And girl, telling you, I feel like in the last 6 months, I am reinventing myself continuously. And this reinvention part, it gets good. It gets
Mhm.
good. So the Latin root of reinvention,
The Latin roots.
is means to come upon again, right? To come upon again, or to find or create anew. Hmm. It's like, do I need to go old school to remember, to think
Right.
about how much better I can be? I don't know, but you're not starting from scratch, right? We are rediscovering ourselves. And you know how many words I just used and all that? And there's so much power in re's. I learned recently, and I've been sharing this with anybody that will listen, and why this was so important with reinvention, that there are 4,443 words in the Merriam-Webster dictionary that actually start with re. And this is in English, right? In English. Now, I don't speak any other languages yet. Maybe that's one of my reinvention things I need to do.
Right.
Or, hey, Duolingo. I know you guys, can help a sister out. But that's 4,443 conversations, 4,443 opportunities to start over, and 443,000. Wait a minute, I want to say 443, 4,443 new beginnings.
Right. There is power in the as the pastors would say. And we need the power in a reboot, a rewind, a restore, a reconnect, a renew, a refresh, a reinvention. Each one is a doorway to something new. So 443 and limitless
Exactly.
to reinvent yourself, to read yourself, I guess is part of it. So based on that, what's your favorite word, Sharon? That's like a
Oh
tongue twister.
gosh, I know there's so many, but right now I know I'm in a season of renewal. So renew. There's something about the idea of making something fresh again. And I think that's my favorite word. It's not replacing it,
Right.
not replacing myself or things that have been doing for the last 6 months, but I'm refreshing it. What about you?
Well, so for me, one of my favorite rewords is reset. And so I love the idea that at any moment in your life, you can hit the reset button and start again. It doesn't mean that you get to erase or forget, but you just get to approach it differently. You can have a reset moment and pick up the pieces where you are if you make a pivot if you need to in that reset time. But for those of us listening right now, join us, drop a line in here. So, was there ever a time for you, listeners, that you had to reinvent yourself? Drop a comment and let us know, and we'll follow up with you after just to hear what your conversations were. We'd love to hear that
Yes,
part
we would.
from you as well.
I think one thing we could ask each other is, what's your favorite reinvention story, Sonia? Like, is there something lately or in your past that kind of connects with your favorite rework with your reset?
Uh, Well, one does come to mind. My other friends are probably like sick of me saying it, but I did have a reinvention moment recently, I guess within the past few years, and you've known a little about it. So I went from being an inactive person to an active person. So I reinvented my life from a couch potato to a marathoner. And I never would have thought that was a part of it, but running became that part for me of reinvention. It was an outward sign of an inward feeling. I,
Mm,
yeah,
powerful. Powerful. I
shout
love how
out
you
to
said
Mr. Donald Hilliard for that. But yeah, it really became that moment for me where I was running, and sometimes I would hate it. And
that.
I remember I couldn't even start. I live near in an area with the 3 mile walk, so a 3 mile walk was daunting,
Oh,
and I would cry about it and just be like over it. And then in a short while, I'm coming back and I'm telling my husband, hey, not only do I want to take a 3 mile walk, now I want to do a 26.2 mile walk or run across the country. And it was a reinvention for myself. And it actually became a time of restoration and renewal for our family. Um, so we actually crossed the finish line together. I'll tell you the story another, but it was just a moment that I'll never forget. And so running has been a renewal for me and a reset.
that's pretty cool. I think an experience that I had when we talk about renewing, it's when I have, two children. When the last one went to college, and my husband and I became empty nesters, you say.
Yes.
Even though they're in college, they're coming back and forth, and our oldest was in college, so they were in college. Just had one was leaving, one had started, and it was a period of renewal for us because not it wasn't, oh, I am got to get the kids here. I got to do this. I got to do that. And learning to even lay down at night next to each other and not talk about what the kids had to do the next day or what all the time. Yes, you're going to still do it, right? We still worry. Even now, they're off doing different things, living in various cities with jobs and paying bills and mortgages and whatnot. But you still feel like we felt like, oh, it's us. So I called it even like the next phase of our relationship, right? Relationship. But it really was about us rediscovering ourselves without them constantly being there. So we did a lot of, I say renewal. We started this date night thing. We do once a quarter. We just pick a city. Sometimes it's because we have companion pass tickets, or, my husband's a fly fisherman. So if it's beautiful, we're going to go fly fishing. Well, he is, and I'm just watching or painting. But it was about renewing our relationship, right? And I think that that's an important part. And sometimes even when we get a little antsy with each other, we're like, oh, time to plan a date night. Because then and the date night was one time I said, oh, here's $22 tickets to New York. We're going to go up there. We're going to see a show. And of course, I got something wrong. So we wound up being there 2 nights, but that was okay. But at least it was about renewing our relationship and the comfort level that we have with each other.
And reconnection.
Yes, reconnection. And it was a level of intimacy that, still to this day, we're like, okay, date night time. Let's just, and it could be down the street, or it could be, a drive away, or it's just knowing that we're going to plan this few days together and renew and reconnect. So I really, really love that.
I love that for you guys too. Anytime you have a companion pass, feel free to share 1 or 2. Happy to be a companion, and maybe, just saying.
I know it's so intriguing, and thank you, Southwest. But it'll be like, you must go between this time and this time, right? So you're forced to plan something, even if it's because it expires after a certain time. So hey, we have a companion ticket now, so I'm like, oh, where are we going to go? But now that I'm career pivoting, we're like, okay, let's focus on something a little drivable. But anyway.
So we have a question. So ready? I needed to make some changes, and it was a challenge. What do you think are barriers to personal growth? So what do you find are barriers to personal growth?
I think the first one is fear. We all live in see, that's why we're friends. It's fear, like you, and it's not the imposter syndrome, because we're going to talk about that later in a future episode. It's about fear of taking that plunge or doing something that you had not done. And it's personal growth. I went and bought a bunch of paints during this time period of my career pivoting, and some paintbrushes, because I hadn't oil painted in a while, and I love to paint, right? But I was fearful of it's not going to look like when I'm in college or I'm taking a class, because I'm doing it on my own. But it was fear that kept me from just picking up the paintbrush and painting. So yeah, what do you think is a barrier?
Definitely agree with you about fear. My other part would be comparison. And so we know the comparison is the thief of joy, but sometimes when you're thinking about personal growth, you're comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 2 and their experiences and their journey and their reinvention. And so you're comparing, why doesn't my change or challenge look like that? And so I think it can hinder you, not I think, but I know that it hinders you from making those moves. You want to make a change, but you're worried about what people will think, worried about what people will say, or you're comparing your experience to someone else. So we do have to become shameless in owning that, hey, my journey is my journey, and what it looks like for me will be for me. Similar to yours, like we just have to stop being fearful. If we walk in faith and not fear, and that can be faith of that I have the ability to put one foot in front of the other. I have the ability to recognize when a challenging moment happens that I can step forward and handle it. So that is the faith. That's the faith in the face of the fear, that we're having those moments. And it's the comparing or being in control and not comparing when you have those.
And I love the fact that you said that about comparing, because it's almost like keeping up with the Joneses, right? Come on, it's true.
The Joneses be broke and fighting every day, 2 steps away from divorce court, and it's not even real spaghetti sauce. They eating like ketchup sandwiches.
Exactly. You never know what's going on, like in somebody's life. But that comparison thing is a big challenge, because I should be here, or you think you should.
You
We
should.
talked a lot earlier about choices or where I thought I should be or vision boards. We have to realize that a lot of times you have to make a pivot. So I really, enjoyed this, this question and talking about the challenges and, fear. But what do they say? Fear is on the other side of faith, right?
Mm, so
Like
true.
it's how do you, it's a balancing thing. And there are going to be some days where you just cannot, you need some help. And
Right,
I know I have raised my hands plenty of time to ask for help because
right,
it's important.
right. Well, great. So we get to come to the end. We're approaching the end of this conversation. And really thank everyone for tuning in for this first episode. And we've given you a sneak peek of what you can expect.
Yes,
We hope that this just isn't more of a podcast, that it's a community of those of us who are done playing small. And so we want to hear from you. We want to learn from you and celebrate with you. So use the hashtag Shameless Reinvention to share your story. And we'll have monthly challenges, shameless confessions, where you can share your bold moves anonymously, Q&A, and we'll really get to hear. So we're going to go live on each week and have a podcast here, so that you can figure it out. It'll be live on LinkedIn and recorded and released on Spotify as well.
exactly. We just know because the most radical thing you can do
Yeah.
is to become yourself on purpose. And this is us becoming ourselves on purpose. And we just wanted to share, our journey with, with you.
All
Now,
right, y'all. So we're
right
wrapping it up. Go
now,
ahead. No, you go ahead.
it's like, wait a minute. Right now, there's a couple of things in your life where you're ready to get shameless about change,
Sure.
whether it's a relationship, health, family dynamics. And we want to be here with you as you do that.
So
And if,
true.
I know we're like, and if you know someone who needs to hear this conversation, please share this conversation. Tag them, share the conversation, tag us. If you have questions, you want to, you have a potential guest that we need to talk to, please let us know and share this information with them.
All right. So can I say that this is a wrap on episode 1? We thank you for hanging out with us. If I was coordinated, I'd be like, click the subscribe button here. You know how the other influencers do, but be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and leave us a review and share with your girlfriends. Trust me, you don't want to keep this joy to yourself. And
Remember,
uh-huh.
reinvention is what happens when you stop asking, what will people think? Remember, reinvention is what happens when you stop asking people, what will people think? And start asking, what do I need?
That was a lot. So next week we are diving into something real, the myth of having it all figured out, and you don't want to miss it. So until then, be shameless about your growth, be kind to yourself in the process, and remember, your next chapter is waiting for you to write it. So we'll see you next time
Next
on
time
Shameless
on
Reinvention.
Shameless Reinventions. Bye bye.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Talk soon.